Started as an East Coast vibe, now I'm going worldwide. We got this bitch going crazy. I used to take the Mazda for a drive, now I'm on the 405 like it's fuck you, pay me. We really sick of standing outside, had to push them all aside. It's what you get for trying to play me. I bet they make a movie when I die just to talk about my life. They need an actor to portray me. I got this motherfucker clear like an eye drop. I got elevator flow, I'm on a high top. I got little something stacked like an IHOP. This is 05, you will put it on your iPod. I'ma give you something that you can't forget. Put the price up, baby, add the tax a bit. Know you saw the comma, thought it was an accident. Well, it wasn't. It's about time, the kids buzzing. I'm trying to get a peek in the elevator. But if we talking peaks, I need mine like the Himalayas. I'm talking yay high, man, I never had a vertical limit. I ain't seen you put in work in a minute. I gotta put on for the family. That goes for every person that's in it. Used to scrape by working as a service attendant till I got more. Bitch, I ain't comfy, I need the top floor. Doing anything to get that spot for. Pop off. Started as an East Coast vibe, now I'm going worldwide. We got this bitch going crazy. I used to take the Mazda for a drive, now I'm on the 405 like it's fuck you, pay. We really sick of standing outside, had to push them all aside. It's what you get for trying to play me. I bet they make a movie when I die just to talk about my life. They need an actor to portray me. I ain't settling for nothing that be under an M. There's only one of me, there's 100 of them. Gotta listen close, I drop hundreds of gems.
You're ready for a show? You're ready for a show?
Until mom's off the vino, room full of smoke like we lived in a casino. She know, day I moved out is when I opened my eyes, looking for the truth like God show me a sign. I'm not religious or the holiest kind, but the blessings came to me when I opened my mind. I was running around the city, man, I knew I had to make some. Wasn't raised a thief, but if I had to, I would take some. Worked the Frito-Lay, I was writing on my break, son. Plotting on a record, waiting for the day we break one.
Nah, I was just, no, I'm really busy, just wrapping up some stuff in the studio. Yeah, everything's good. I mean, it's just been a lot of, like, settling in and whatnot. Yeah. I'm not really sure when I'm coming back. I don't have any plans of it right now, but, I'm just...
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve.
Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to the new and improved Designated Spittaz. There's the man right there. Derek, how's it going, fam?
Death rattle of winter, the Super Bowl. We got to get through March Madness and all the basketball people, and then it's baseball time, baby.
Yeah, like right after today, right? We got it's like, all right, now it's here. What are we? Just a couple of days away from pitching the catchers, right?
Yeah, I think it's Monday, right?
Is it Monday? It's something like that.
Thursday. It might be. It's
Thursday.
The 16th.
It is the 16th, correct? Yeah. So got the 16th, and I think the 20th is everybody, and then they got like the first game next week, like late next week. So I think it's basically official, man. Baseball's back.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the team really hasn't done much recently. I mean, it's been kind of quiet, all quiet on the Eastern Front here.
Yeah, definitely. And guys, we are live. I see everybody in the chat saying, hey, are we live or pre-recorded? This is live, all right? This is live. It's kind of how we do our thing over here on DS. But we have some news. So today what we basically want to do, me and Derek kind of talked about this. Fangraphs does their little projections on, 2023 stats. I thought it would be kind of fun just before the season begins to see if does it align with what we think? Do we think it's going to be that good? They also do something else where you can guarantee 600 plate appearances for like each player. So I think it'd be kind of fun to see what Aaron Hicks may give us. So they project on something like that with Aaron Hicks. So we'll see. Guys, smash that like button for us. But before we go into that, Derek, there was a little bit of news today regarding a former Yankee. A former Yankee great. There it is. Good old Derek Jeter. Let's switch on over. As you guys can see right there, Derek Jeter is now a part of Fox Sports. And Derek, I mean, that's a pretty good team they got over there right now.
Right. I mean, I'd hate to see the league softball game between Fox Sports, Jeter, A-Rod, Big Papi versus Jack Curry, Brian Hoke, Sweeney Murdy.
Right. Right. They don't know. I know earlier you're like, yeah, I mean, they're going to beat up on CVS this year. Yeah. You better believe it, man. I mean, that team is absolutely stacked. So I saw the video and I'm like, that Jeter and A-Rod, they're getting along rather good these days, aren't they?
It's interesting that he mentioned that in the Captain documentary, how they were kind of reconciling a little bit and how losing Gerald Williams really taught him, like it put into perspective that, hey, you're only here for a little bit.
That's true.
And, bury the hatchet, right? I mean, these are two guys that were teammates. They were, fighting together every year. And regardless of their differences, they're grown men now, and let bygones be bygones and, develop a friendship that could last the rest of your lives.
Yeah, I agree. And I tell you what, I was telling this to the team in our chat. I said flat out, I'm like, if I'm listening to baseball from anybody, I think I would go to these guys, to be honest. Like, if I want to hear some really good baseball talk, one, no matter what anybody wants to say about A-Rod, I think Alex Rodriguez is just a phenomenal baseball mind. When you hear him talk baseball, he's a phenomenal baseball mind. Whether you like him or not, it is what it is. The guy knows his baseball. Jeter, I can hear talk all day, especially a little more when he's not player Jeter and he's kind of just himself. Is not so perfect with everything.
Right. Yeah, I like hearing him crack jokes. He's like a funnier guy than you think,
Yep.
We're used to hearing him after games when he's giving the press conferences and he's just maintaining the sort of, I don't want to say aloof, but the keeping his distance and not letting the media get too close to, the ongoings around the team and all that stuff. Yeah. And then he has his private life because he wants to have a family finally and raise the daughters and do his business. He's down there in Miami working with the Marlins. But now that he's out from all that, his kids are growing up a little bit. He's realizing he's got to get out of the house more. JFK said, a life of leisure is the hardest life to live. And he had nothing to do. So I'm glad to see him getting back to work. And it's great to see the true Derek Jeter that everybody knows behind the scenes a little bit more out in the open.
I wanted to bring this up because I was laughing about it. You remember when Jeter all of a sudden got onto social media?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like posting these sad, not really sad pictures, but like, look what my daughters are doing to me. Like, I got to get out of here. Somebody's like, it was like a sign for help. He's like, please, somebody help me. I got to get out of this house. It was like
SOS. Yeah. They had like a, FBI scientist like analyzing these tweets. He's ready to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes see people's like, blink your eyes if you need help. Like, send us some sort of sign. And it looked like Jeter really, like you said, kind of just really wanted to get out of the house. But
stepped on one too many Legos and was, I'm going back into baseball.
100%, man. I remember that one video. His daughters are like painting him up and putting makeup on him and all that. I'm like, all right, Jeet, I see you, buddy. I got a daughter myself, so I get it. I understand. Sometimes, especially when you're somebody like Jeet, look, man. We talk about this with baseball a lot. There's a lot of good guys out there in baseball that don't have anything to do with baseball anymore, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Baseball needs Derek Jeter. I mean, I guess it's both ways, right? Baseball could live on forever without anybody, and it'll still be baseball, but it's nice to have those legends around. You could turn your TV on and go, oh, look, Jeet's talking. Let's see what he got to say about this.
It was starting to interest me. I was starting to think that Jeter didn't really like baseball because you hear stories about how, like, after the game, he didn't even have, like, the baseball package. A-Rod would come over. He'd be like, let's watch what the Red Sox are doing versus the Angels or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, I don't have baseball channel. It's like, let's go to the club. Let's go pick up some women. And, he goes down to Miami. That was a surprise to me. It seemed like he was on bad terms with the Yankees. I always felt like it was a mistake for him to just leave the Yankees organization at all. It sounds like Brian Cashman has had to make some concessions over the years because they didn't get along. Yep. And I'm glad that, they were able to kind of iron things out. But I still think the place that he ultimately belongs, regardless of how he does at Fox, this could still be a situation. I still think he belongs as part of the Yankees front office because, he understands people. He understands what it takes to win. He's got that GOAT kind of mentality of like the Jordans and the Tom Brady's and the, those type of killer instinct players.
Yep.
There's not a lot of resources like that you can go to, and having Jeter, game knows game, having him there to recognize other people like him, I think could be useful.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. It's something we talked about a lot. Like how could you see Jeter coming back? And I agree with you. A lot of people immediately go to, well, let him be the GM. Well, not even that. You know what I mean? You hit it on the head right there. Is I've talked about this for a long time now, is that I really want the Yankees to get back to that mentality of, look, we understand that it's not realistic to win every year. It's not going to happen. Whether we yell, scream, get upset about it, it's never going to happen. They're not going to win every season. But I just really want the Yankees to get back to that mindset of, it's not okay that we got eliminated. It's not that we had a decent season. No, we are meant to win. When we don't win, it's a failure. That doesn't mean that you're beating up all your players. That doesn't mean you don't privately or even publicly go, look, we think Aaron Boone does a very good job. We thought Aaron Judge there's a lot of positives here, but the ultimate goal was not reached, and we do consider that a failure.
Yeah, I don't like Brian Cashman sort of making excuses, and I don't like him saying, well, we had a pretty good run. No, you didn't. You got swept. You were a freaking embarrassment. You were an embarrassment.
Come on, say it louder for the people.
If you went 7 games and you lost on the road in Houston to a good team, then I could say, yeah, you know what? We lost to a better team. We had a pretty good run. But they didn't even put up a fight against Houston. They were Peter McNeely against Tyson saying, hey, I did pretty good. I did pretty good, guys.
Let me tell you something about McNeely, man.
Out.
McNeely went in that fight like in his mind he was winning.
If he had a gun, he would have used it. They asked. I remember when Tyson
was so ready.
Yeah, when Tyson was before he went to prison, before he lost, somebody asked him after a fight. They said, "Can anyone beat Mike Tyson? Is there anyone who can stop Mike Tyson?" And he said, "If they have a 357, they have a pretty good chance."
Right. I tell you what, Mike Tyson came out of prison. He was scarier.
Oh, God, he was so jacked because all he did was lift weights and be angry for 6 years.
That's all he said. You want to know something? Let me get to these 2 super chats real quick. DJ Steele says, my one true love is Pete. Man, F these women. Okay, that's always nice. Jonathan Alvarez says, Pete and Derek, the best duo in the business. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate that. But getting back to that, did you ever see recently Mike Tyson talked about losing weight and how he does it? Because he's like, the first day he went on the treadmill, he's like, the next day I'm doing 6 hours on it. Like, it's just kicked in immediately.
Well, he's an addict, and when you get addicted, people don't realize this. You don't only get addicted to like the harmful substances. You get addicted to the feeling you get like from doing good things, like adrenaline. Yeah. Eminem talked about this. He said that when he was, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Funny People. It's this old Judd Apatow movie where Eminem has a cameo where he's kind of yelling at Ray Romano, stupid scene. And he's looking all fat and pale and gross. And it was at like the height of his drug addiction. And shortly after that, after he got out of rehab or whatever, he started running and he got addicted to it. He said he was running like 8 to 10 miles every day. You can get addicted in more than one way. And I think Tyson, when he gets into that training mode, you saw him meet with Joe Rogan. And Rogan was like scared of him. He had just met with Tyson, maybe like 6 months earlier. Yeah. And Tyson was all jovial and I'm having a good time here. And this is great, fun, podcast. And then afterwards he was like silent. And he when he was in training, he's like, just ask you a question. Let's get out of here. Like he was like he was not in the mood to play around.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing that. Rogan looks at him and he's like, holy, he's like, that's when he's talking about like, he doesn't, sometimes he appreciates the guy he's becoming, but it's like, I also miss the old guy. And Rogan's like, this guy's terrifying. Like, this guy immediately, because he was getting ready for the Roy Jones fight again, the exhibition. Right. And he was stacked. Mm-hmm. Tyson was stacked. So, yeah, that's not, poor McNeely kind of got hit by a bus right there, the poor guy. Got another super chat from Steels, who won't leave me alone about this. Bengals versus Chiefs Super Bowl. Take your picks. I accidentally said the Bengals, and they won't leave me alone about it, Derek.
Okay.
Derek's not really a football guy, I don't think, right, Derek? You're not.
I didn't even know that was wrong. I saw the Bengals versus Chiefs Super Bowl, and I was like, oh, that's cool. 2 red teams.
Derek said it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, who cares? Who cares? But no, it will be. Let me clarify this for DJ Steels alone, okay? It's the Chiefs versus The Bengals. Okay. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. We're gonna start taking a look at Fangraphs. So, guys, basically, again, what we want to do here now. Look, projections are projections. I just think it's a fun thing to kind of look at. So, what we'll do is let's focus on some of the bigger names first, and we'll go from there. So, it's gonna pop up on your guys' screen now, and we will take a look. All right, there we go. So, Derek, we're going to start off with number one being, they sort this via WAR, and they got Aaron Judge finishing with almost a 7 WAR, 150 games, finishing with 44 home runs, 105 RBIs. K rate stays about the same, average 275, 382 on base percentage, 552 slugging. What do you think about those numbers overall for Judge?
I think he's going to do better than that personally, but I mean, the fact that, he can lose 18 home runs and still have 44 home runs and a 7 WAR practically, that's pretty damn good. I mean, if you ask me if I would sign up for this, 150 games I would sign up for, but you can't tell me that he's going to hit 44 home runs if he gets nearly 700 plate appearances. He gets 700 plate appearances like that, he's going to hit 55, 65 home runs.
Yeah, I agree. The minute looking at this, the one thing that kind of stood out to me was I'm like, hey, look, like you said, if Judge plays 150 games, I need more than 105 RBIs.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the one thing I'm looking at. Like
I was looking at runs. I thought it had 110 RBIs, 110 runs, 105 RBIs. Yeah, they got one guy with over 100 ribbies. You remember back in the 90s when everybody had 117, 120 ribbies just because they got on base?
Yes, yes. And hopefully, and DJ Steele says, Chiefs versus Bengals, Steels. I'm joking with you, man. I did have to bother you again, and I got you. Thank you. But no, when I see this, I agree with you 100%. The 105 RBIs, I'm like, all right, come on now. Like, that should be bumped up quite a bit. And I know, again, these are projections, but it is fun to look at. Here's the good thing, though. They think Aaron Judge is going to have a good year, like all of us do if he gets 150 games.
Well, last year they projected that he would have 40 home runs, and they were off by 22. So if he goes 22 better this year, I'll take 66 home runs.
I will be very, very happy with 66. No doubt about it.
I'll sign up for that today.
We will sign up for that all day long. Here's an interesting one, man. Somebody I think a lot of fans, like, and then maybe there's a little bit of hesitancy towards Gleyber Torres. So this one's kind of fun to look at because we are interested to see what Gleyber does all year. And they got him having a pretty decent year. 3.4 WAR, which is less than what he put up this year. 261 average. Let's see. He got 72 RBIs, 23 home runs, 80 runs scored. They got that in 138 games. So 23 bombs in 138 games. Not terrible. But if Gleyber Torres is our second baseman all year, and this is what he provides in 138 games, you could sign me up for that.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think if he plays that much, I think he's pretty much guaranteed to have 25 or better home runs. The average, they've got him ticking up to 261. I do think it's going to go. I think he, like we mentioned on my show the other night, I think that, he probably lost more base hits up the middle than anybody on the ball club last year.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that he's pretty much a guarantee, but he also hit about 257. I could see him getting up over 270. I think I projected him at 280. But again, he's still a young man. He's still a good player. I have some problems with Gleyber Torres situationally. I don't like how he takes big, humongous home run swings when you're down by 3-4 runs with nobody on base.
Yeah.
But I got no problem with him as a player. I think he's a good player.
My biggest problem with Gleyber Torres is he's one of those guys that drive me nuts. There's a couple of different reasons why. One of the main reasons is I don't like when players have to have their managers talk for them so much. So if you just dog it or you don't do it, this was all year long with Gleyber. That's one of the things that bothered me about him. And he's not prime Robinson Cano where it's just like, all right, I mean, what do you
Yeah.
It is what it is. The guy's hitting 340 every year. Who cares? But the other thing about Gleyber that gets me so mad is every time I feel like the Yankees got a pitcher kind of up against the wall a little bit, they might have bases loaded first and second, and he just swings at the first pitch and pops up. Or like immediately he's like, no, I got to go up there hacking. I'm like, bro, he just walked the bases loaded. What are you doing? Take it easy.
Yeah, and Gleyber, he's got this interesting style of hitting. It's kind of unconventional. He waits a real long time and then just kind of like explodes with his hips.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can really take advantage of that if you're a pitcher by just throwing him some off-speed stuff in those situations where he wants to do a lot of damage. If you look at the situations where he comes up big, like in the clutch when he picks up walk-offs, they're almost always to right field. It's because he's staying within himself. He's waiting on that off-speed pitch, or he's picking it up early, or he's thinking, take the ball the other way, be patient. That's the Gleyber I want to see every time. That's what separates the great hitters from the bad, the decent hitters, is the ability to make adjustments, to recognize your weaknesses. I think it was Tony Gwynn who said a good hitter will make an adjustment the next day. A great hitter will make an adjustment the next at bat.
Yep, that's right. That's right. And unfortunately, there's not many Tony Gwynns out there anymore. But to pick up on what you said real quickly before we move on to Harrison Bader, who they have as the third best offensive Yankee, which via WAR, but his defense is making up a lot of that number. Right. But speaking on what you said about Gleyber Torres, yeah, man, I remember I was on with Backstage Baseball, our friend Halal, and it was when Gleyber was struggling bad, and I said, all he needs to do is just start going to right field.
Yep.
And I think the next day he shouted me. I was like, Pete, I guess he listened to you. Yeah. He started going to right field. So, yes, I'm taking credit for what Gleyber Torres did that I can't do, okay? I'm taking credit for that.
The year before that, I fixed his swing in a video. I showed a video where it was just replays of him falling off balance, and the next day he fixed it. I swear to God, they watched for this type of thing. If I was an athlete, I would want every pair of eyes that I could get on what I'm doing wrong, because somebody might pick something up.
You're damn right. This is a super chat from my man Ronnie. Ronnie says, Derek and Pete, this is some real Prodigy and Havoc Mob Deep energy, bro. I was listening to Mob Deep on Hell on Earth all day this morning. Nice. What a way to start 2023. Congrats to you both. Yeah, we are very happy. I'm extremely happy to have Derek on board here. The Morning Brew, our friend Hector says, shout out to the NYY News TV family and community. 2023 is going to be an exciting season. Yes, it is. No doubt about it. So moving on to our friend who I was a fan of this trade, and I hope he has a great year, Harrison Bader. They got Bader playing 130 games, which I'll tell you the truth. I think almost alone with that, that's a win. If you do get the 130. Just because of Bader's been injured almost every year of his career. He's had something going on. Across the board, they got Bader at a 247 average, 311 on base percentage, 400 slugging, a 2.8 WAR, 15 homers, and 58 RBIs, 21 stolen bags. I think I made this prediction on the show we did the other day. I think Bader has a chance to be a 2020 guy this year.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've got him projected at 21 stolen bases, but I think he's got the speed to go way over that when you factor in the pitch clock and the bases.
The pickoff move. Yeah.
Right, in the pickoff move. So one thing that's just for the casual fans who might not understand why the pitch clock would affect stolen bases and the number of pickoffs. If you know that a pitcher is throwing a pickoff throw, and you know that it takes a certain amount of time for him to go through that movement to get to first base. And you know it takes a certain amount of time for him to, go from the mound to home plate. You can look at the clock and kind of, if he gets to a point where he hasn't released it yet, you can get like an extra second and a half jump. And with the base being just a little bit bigger, you can use your speed. I really think that they're going to take advantage of that more. We saw how aggressive they were in the minor leagues. They were the most aggressive on the bases in the minor leagues since the implementation of the pitch clock.
Correct.
We see everybody stealing bags, and I think they're using that as kind of almost a lab to figure out how to do it, how to take advantage of this rule. And they're going to apply that in spring training. I think you're going to see them stealing more bags in spring training than they usually do. And Harrison Bader, I could see him being a 30 stolen base type of guy. But again, got to stay on the field, like you said.
Yeah, Bader has the wheels for it. No doubt about it. Bader is he'll be one of the fastest guys on the team. I know we're going to get to Oswald Peraza, but he's just another guy that, man, if he gets on base, those wheels are going to be flying.
Yeah.
And another thing, too, we're going to talk about these young kids, too, coming up. Volpe's actually even on this list. We got another super in here from my friend Chris Perez Jr., NYY News TV. The Encore, can't wait for game season live. Yes, I cannot wait to call games, and that's coming very, 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 very soon. And, of course, followed by Derek's recap show, which is always great to watch. So let's switch on over. The next guy we have is Jose Trevino. They got Trevi at 83 games only, a WAR of 2.6, 8 home runs, 34 RBIs. I tell you what, Derek, I'm wiping this thing clean. I don't like these Trevino numbers at all.
So I just want to keep in perspective that you can't predict baseball, Susan, right? I mean,
Correct.
they predicted last year that Joey Gallo was going to have a monster season. There's a reason they take last year's projections down. They don't want you looking at that shit. But Trevino's going to do a lot better than this. They're building into their formula. What they do is they put a certain amount of weight on the previous season, but then they also weigh in the seasons prior, like they do when they're forming the ratings in Madden or MLB The Show. Yeah. That's how it's the same type of thing. It's math. It's cold. It doesn't take into account if a guy has found a tweak in their game that's made them better. It doesn't take into account coaching or, being in the spotlight and being a late bloomer. And I think Trevino's all of those things. And I think, honestly, he's going to be way, way better. I could see him hitting 260 with 15 home runs and being really great behind the dish.
Yeah, I'm really a fan of Trevino, man. I like this guy a lot. He's a gamer. You can tell he wants to be great. He seems very... A lot of guys come across as almost sounding fake to a degree when they talk about their love for the Yankees. He comes across as very realistic. Like, he really wants to be maybe not the next great Yankee catcher, but he honors the guys before him. I know he did that thing with Thurman Munson. He's like, maybe he wants to wear the old school Yankee gear that Thurman used to wear, the different color. So I expect better numbers from Trevino. I mean, catching's a tough position. You could always get beat up. You could get hurt. There's a lot that goes into catching. And being an offensive catcher is very tough as it is. But I agree with your assessment. I like the numbers that you said. Don't like these ones. I think Trevy's going to be much better than expected.
I tell you what, I'm amped about the throwback gear. I forgot all about that.
Me too. Yeah,
God, that's going to be so fire.
That would be awesome, man. Like they need it. I like stuff like that, man.
Me too, man.
You're a history guy. You like history. I like history, especially when it comes to baseball. Look, the Yankees get beat up a lot, right? When it comes to like they don't let you got to be clean shaven. The jersey never really changed. It is what it is. It's a cool tradition. But let's go back on some of the older stuff and maybe add that a little bit into it. It'll be a fun thing to do. And I think the whole catching idea right there is a brilliant idea from Trevino.
I mean, going back to, the past is always awesome too. I wish the Yankees would do kind of like a throwback to Clock Day where they would wear like the wool uniforms and the hats. They never do anything fun like that. They never did like the City Connect jerseys. I think that would be great. I mean, these are things that, look, as an organization, I understand they care a lot about their tradition, but there's a fine line between being traditional and being stuck in the past, right?
Correct.
You've got to mix in the past and honor your past, but also take steps to be a modern organization, or the kids aren't going to like you. Yeah,
I'm right there with you. What was the jerseys they wore that time when they were all black? Those were fire, man.
Those were kind of cool. That was
I liked them.
There was like the Players Weekend jersey where everybody had
Yeah. I tell you what. I mean, I know you probably don't want to wear those in a game at Texas, but I mean,
I was hoping they would do navy blue. Like if they were navy blue, that would have been dope.
Yeah, if they were like pure navy, maybe had like a stripe only down the lines, or I don't know, something like that. That kind of look like the big boss man back in the wrestling
I like
days.
The spring training blue jerseys that they wear with the white home pants. Like I wish they would do that on like Sunday afternoons or something, or like a day game during the week where kinda like a
little dress down type day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like dress down. They could wear like they're in New York, they're in the Bronx. They could wear like Tim's as cleats. Get like Tim style cleats. That would be wild. I would love that. The Bronx would go bananas if they did that. So moving on to our next guy, Anthony Rizzo. That's a Rizzo. 131 games they got from the man Anthony. And they got him hitting 27 bombs, 75 runs scored, 79 RBIs, having a 2.3 WAR, 240 average. Again, these numbers to me are slightly off in the regards, I think, mainly of batting average, on base percentage even. I see those numbers being higher for Rizzo. I don't know if he does the 30 plus. I think he has every opportunity to do it as long as he's healthy. But I do think the shift is going to make a big difference for Rizzo because he's a pull guy. And I think it's going to make quite the difference for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we said the other night, I think we both kind of landed on around 27 home runs.
Yeah,
so that looks fine to me. I think he's going to do better than 240, even though, typically if a guy hits 224 one season, you wouldn't expect them to have a 16-point jump the next year. But like you said, the shift is going to affect him more than anybody. In fact, I think he was affected, statistically on more balls in play than anybody. But you also factor in, he hit a lot of balls hard that weren't necessarily affected by the shift, that were just bad luck. Like he would line a ball right where the first baseman was, supposed to play, or he would hit one hard in the gap and deep and they would run it down. I remember one game where he smoked the ball 4 times and was 0 for 4. And I was just like, man, guy can't buy a hit. But I think that this year he's, I mean, look, I'm one of those people that believes in due. I think he's due to have some hits to start dropping in.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to take, it's going to be a major difference for Anthony Rizzo. One of the biggest guys on the team that it's going to make a difference for. DJ LeMahieu is the next guy we have on this list. And he's a guy that all we got to say about him is if you're healthy, you'll be in a lineup. But we also spoke about this on NYYPD, that he also just needs to start being given his time and a little relaxation. So across the board, they got him at 102 games, 10 home runs, 43 RBIs, 273 average, 351 on base percentage, and a 400 slugging. If you can give me that batting average, bump it up to over 280, still have above a 350 on base percentage, and hopefully we get you into more games, I'm extremely happy with that from DJ LeMahieu.
Let me ask you this. Let's say that he puts up these exact numbers, but he's 100% healthy going into the playoffs. Do you take it? You make that deal?
These numbers right here, you know what? Yes, I do take it. Let me tell you why I take it. 273 isn't bad. And I guess, are we going to say that he plays more than 102 games? Or
we're going to say these exact numbers, 102, but maybe he misses some time at the beginning of the year. He's healthy going into the playoffs.
I'll take it. At this point, I got to take it. Look, let me tell you why again. 351 on base percentage is terrific. Yeah. A 350 plus on base percentage is terrific. And I'm going to assume that he's batting 1 or 2 when he comes back. 273 average is not amazing, but it's not terrible. And if he's healthy and who knows where he is at that moment getting into the year, as long as I hear he's healthy, I'm taking him that way going into the postseason. 350
batting or 350 on base percentage in front of Aaron Judge in the leadoff spot. Aaron Judge is going to have more than 105 RBIs to say that
You
much.
better believe it. You better believe it. So that's exactly the way I'm seeing it. And here's an interesting one because this actually goes right in line to your over-unders that we did just the other day. Giancarlo Stanton, listen to this. 125 games, 31 home runs, 84 RBIs, 72 runs scored, 245 batting average, and a 2.1 WAR. That's mainly, of course, going to be because he's not going to play the field much. Derek, I got to ask you, man. Those numbers right there, are you taking that?
I think that's the most accurate prediction on the list.
I feel the same way so far.
245 is about what he hits in a normal season. 125 games, that's essentially one moderate DL stint. 31 home runs, that's what he hit last year. He's going to run into some bombs. 84 RBIs, I'd like to see more than that. But, if he's, again, healthy going into the playoffs, I got to take this. I mean, the slugging 485, that puts him over an 800 OPS. That would be, 785, 95, 05, like 803 OPS, something like that. Yep. I'm signing up for that right now. Yeah,
that's 100%. And look, like we talked about before, you got DJ LeMahieu having a higher on-base percentage. We know that would improve Judge, and that will improve Stanton too. Yeah. Because one of the big things I talk about all the time is the Yankees have their boppers. They got the guys that they should expect to supply the power for them. That is, of course, likely going to be either 2, 3, and 4 or 3, 4, and 5 in Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton. So those guys need to be the guys that supply that power. They got to find the guys with on-base percentage, average, that bat up top that can be driven in by them. And I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on this one. I am taking that from Stanton all day. I don't know if he plays much outfield, but to be honest, if he's putting up these numbers, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd sign up for this right now.
No doubt about it. So when we get to, I want to look at Josh Donaldson. I want to look at some of the other guys on here. But when it comes to, I would bring up Volpe, but when it comes to Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera, they don't really have them playing much. I want to see what the numbers will look like in that actually 600 at-bats, which you could do on here. But they got Donaldson playing 102 games, 15 home runs, like we talked about the other day, a 225 average. Are you taking this or are you dumping this?
Man, that's like one. that's essentially what he did last year. So it makes
It's
sense.
basically the same season, yeah.
I don't want him to play as much as he did last year, though.
Right.
So I'm not taking it only because I think the numbers are too high. I don't want his numbers to be that high. I want him to have like 30 games played and then get DFA'd. That's what I want from Donaldson.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you, man. Look, again, I'll just repeat myself. If DJ LeMahieu's healthy, DJ LeMahieu's your third baseman. If you have to stick with Josh Donaldson, he has a good glove.
Yeah.
Let him get in there late in games. Let him spot every now and then. Why not?
You know who else has a good glove? If he's still on the team, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa won a gold glove at third base.
And
you think he's going to get traded? He might be, but if he doesn't, he can also back up DJ at third.
No question, no doubt about it. And a good thing that Donaldson can't do that he can do. He could also play short. He could also play second if you need him in any type of tough spot. Speaking of IKF, we'll jump to him real quick and then we'll talk to Aaron. Let's actually bunch these two together. So we'll do Hicks first and then IKF. And then when it comes to Peraza, Volpe, Cabrera, I want to look at them over a full year and see what they think that the numbers could look like. Aaron Hicks, they got him at 94 games. They got him hitting 10 homers, 38 RBIs, 41 runs scored, a 222 average, 329 on base percentage, only a 1.2 WAR. If that's the case, Derek, I'm shipping this guy out of town to hell with it. I'll just release him.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you just got to eat the money. I'm honestly shocked he's still on the team.
You and me both.
I didn't think there'd be any chance that when spring training opened up, he'd be on the team because I figured if they couldn't find a spot for him, they would just cut him, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, the whole roster spot is more important at this point than having Aaron Hicks back.
Bingo.
I would rather give, I think the young, or the time you can give to one of the younger players like an Oswaldo Cabrera in left field, or even finding out what Florial can give you. I mean, I still don't think Florial's a great hitter, but I would rather lose with Florial than with Hicks because at least
100%, man, 100%. because look, I mean, I think we have. Look, somebody said this to me the other day. Pete, what if he's named the left fielder? I'm gonna root for him. I'm gonna root for him to do good because guess what? That makes the Yankees a better club. Yep. Doesn't mean that he's going to be my favorite ball player. But look, I am going to root for Aaron Hicks if he's there. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I am. I would root for him. And I want to see him do good. But I think I almost rather have an unknown at this point than have Aaron Hicks out there. Just as the idea of what could be. What could he potentially be? What could he possibly add? The one thing about Florial is, his defense is fantastic. He has a great arm. Every year he's ranked as the best defensive outfielder by far for the Yankees. Even with guys like Everson Pierre down there, who people are very high about on defense too, he's always ranked as the guy for the outfield. And he got speed. So if this guy finds a way to get on base, with the new rules that we already discussed, you can have a good stolen base threat. Guy that goes first to third, first to home. Is he my first go-to? Of course not. But I really would rather him than Aaron Hicks at this point. Yeah,
and look, Aaron Hicks, I think, has reached that point in his career where it's what we call a dead man spiral in flying, where he's gone into a tailspin that he's just not going to get out of. Right? If I were Aaron Hicks, while I'm still young, I would work on getting my PGA Tour card, and make your money that way. You can make a lot of money playing over there in Saudi Arabia.
Let me
golf
tell you
these days.
All you got to do is watch Happy Gilmore. He did it.
Yeah.
Happy did it. He couldn't believe the type of checks he was getting for being like in last place. So there you go. Just watch give it a little tappy, a little tap-a-roo. Looking at IKF, as we mentioned before, they got IKF playing 62 games, hitting 3 home runs, kind of the same deal, 264, really the same player, 264 average, 314 on base percentage. So again, kind of the same exact guy that we already seen last year.
Can I say something kind of controversial? Is that?
Ooh, I like it.
I like IKF as a player. I think he's a good player. I don't want him at my starting shortstop position. But I think he's a really useful player. At $6 million, he's probably a little more expensive than you want for a backup infielder. But I like his hustle. I like his ability to fight off pitches and make contact. I like his attitude. I like him as a ball player.
Yep.
Don't want him playing shortstop.
Derek, I said this all last year, man. I said it all last year. I said, look, I don't have an issue at all with this guy. 0 issues at all. My problem is with the Yankees. It's not with him. My problem is that the Yankees got a guy who won a Gold Glove at third base, and they said, "Hey, now you're going to become our shortstop, trying to be too smart." They wanted to do it with Matt Chapman. Let's make him the shortstop. Why don't you just make him the third baseman?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little confused here. What if you just make him the third baseman? Maybe that makes more sense. I don't know.
Looks like we got a super dono here.
Hey, you want to read it?
Sure. Derek Morpheus voice. Welcome to NYY News Familia. This is a dramatic reading. When was the last time the Yankees cut a player they owe money to? They never cut their losses. They let bad contracts bleed out. That's a good
A-Rod
question.
and Ellsbury.
Teixeira,
Tex. Yeah, that's right. That's right. With Tex, I forgot it. Was it last year, right?
It was his last season, but it's generally like August, probably like, after the money for the year is already like, you're already made what you're going to make for the year. It's like, cut your losses a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't see them releasing Aaron Hicks, but look, if Aaron Hicks has a decent spring, I could see somebody wanting Aaron Hicks because look, Joey Gallo makes $11 million. Aaron Hicks makes 10. You can't tell me the Yankees wouldn't pay 5 to get somebody to take him. Hell,
Derek,
they might pay 8.
Yeah, I said it a while ago. I said, look, if I were a team that needed a left fielder, maybe I'm still a club that's kind of up and coming. We maybe get some guys, we trade them at the deadline. If the Yankees came to me and said, hey, look, we got 3 years left at $30 million. We're willing to take 50% of that. Bro, I'd sign up for that tomorrow. I'd take him.
Yeah.
I would take Aaron Hicks. I'd go, look, it's a brand new change of scenery. You don't have the eyes on you all day. Do us a favor. Go in left field and go play baseball. Go play baseball. And we'll see what happens.
You put him in a place that has like a really nice golf course near the stadium where he can go shoot 9 holes before the game. Seriously, go shoot 9 holes before the game. Get in the right mindset. Get relaxed. I got a feeling he's just sitting around. It's like me when I go out in public, just sitting around in the clubhouse, nervous. Oh God, are they going to hit it to me tonight? Are they going to hit it to me tonight? Are they going to throw me a changeup?
What you're saying is he needs to watch Happy Gilmore and go to his happy place.
Go to his happy place.
He got to go to his happy place. Who's going to be the little guy riding the horse? Like Aaron Boone? Is he gonna be Aaron Boone? Riding the unicorn. There it is. He talks about unicorns a lot. That's exactly what's going to happen. All right, so really quick before we get into the starting pitchers, let's do this. This is kind of fun. So they look at projections here for 600 at-bats, and we're not going to talk about judging these guys. I want to talk about the young players because they had Anthony Volpe, I think, playing in maybe like 40-something games, I think it was. But let's take a look at what Volpe, Peraza, and Cabrera would do over 600 at-bats based off their projections. So Anthony Volpe, Yankees' #1 prospect, they got him hitting .229, .304 on-base percentage, 16 home runs, 67 runs scored, 63 RBIs, 22 stolen bags. So again, not really much you could look into this because they're not really basing it off of much. So what do you think about that, Derek?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember when Frazier and Judge were coming up, they predicted that Frazier would be a better player than Judge, and that's how it turned out. That's not how it turned out. I can't imagine a world in which Volpe hits .229. I mean, he's just a better player than that. I can buy 16 homers. I can buy 63 RBIs. I think he's probably a 250, a 260 hitter. And, maybe 20 stolen bags is that's fine. That's, but over 142 games, I would expect more than that considering he stole 50 last year.
Yeah, definitely. And again, he's already ahead on those new rules. So he kind of has a better understanding. We'll get back to Volpe. I want to speak on him a little bit. Oswald Peraza, who has a pretty solid chance to be the Yankees' everyday starting shortstop. They got him in .242, coming in at a .298 on-base percentage, .381 slugging, 17 home runs, 65 runs scored, 66 RBIs, and 22 stolen bags.
Well, I mean, we both agreed the other day if he got this much playing time, we think he's a better player than that. I think he's definitely a better hitter than 240. I think he's minimum 270. Just the style of swing he has, it's a very level swing. Mm-hmm. He does pull the ball a lot. He's not much of an opposite field hitter. Yep. But what he's able to do, and we saw this a few times last year, is he can go get the pitch that's on the outer part of the plate. But because he keeps that level swing through the zone, if he's a little bit out ahead of it, he can just kind of hook it into left field or hook it up the middle and picks up a lot of soft base hits. That's something that even guys like Derek Jeter used to do. Jeter was an odd hitter because, he would drive the ball the other way, but a lot of his opposite field hits were inside pitches. He would inside out. And Oswald kind of fits that unique kind of unorthodox swing where he's kind of trying to pull everything, but he's got a very level swing. I think he's a 270 hitter. I can buy 17 home runs. I can buy 22 stolen bases. I think if he gets 142 games and 600 plate appearances, I think he's probably going to hit 25 home runs, steal 25 bags, but that's just me.
Look, man, I'm very high on this kid. I've been high on this kid for a while. If he does what we were talking about at NYYPD, guys, if you missed that episode, go back and watch that on Derek's channel, NYY Recaps. Matter of fact, the link will be in the comment here shortly after we wrap up. When it comes to Peraza, if he does those numbers you said, we're fighting for Gunnar Henderson to be the Rookie of the Year in the American League.
Yeah, I agree. Look, the Yankees have had a lot of guys come up and do pretty well in the Rookie of the Year voting. Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge.
And Duhar came close.
And Duhar. There doesn't seem to be a bias in the Rookie of the Year voting. What I want is somebody to come up and, aside from Aaron Judge, have some staying power, and I think Peraza is one of those guys. I think he's definitely one of those guys. He's just so athletic, right? I mean, he's just so athletic. That's not what you see from a lot of the Yankees' younger players. Even Andujar, I would qualify him as athletic, but he was not a good defender.
Correct.
Peraza is a great defender and an improving hitter with some pop. And from everything I've seen, he's a great kid.
Oh yeah.
A great head on his shoulders, which is important.
That's the really cool thing that you hear about Peraza and Volpe. Volpe's main thing is funny. Like, look, the tools are good, but people don't really brag about the tools as much as they brag about the brain.
Right. Yep.
And that's a pretty cool thing that you hear about Anthony Volpe is that one of the things I was told recently is that the main concern that some people feel on Volpe is he struggles against good sliders. And he started to see a little more of that. Guys pitched him a little differently in AAA. But when you have it up here, I believe in your ability to adjust to that, to make that adjustment. And I hope he does.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I am more high on Oswald Peraza than I am Volpe. So I have, not like if I was making a ranking list, to be honest, I'd put Volpe 1, and we do. So a little spoiler to our next video coming out, Volpe is our number 1 prospect. You guys guessed that, obviously. I still think if I was to start a team, to be honest with you, I'm taking Peraza. I need your help on something real quick before you go forward with that. This is my best comp for Peraza. Who was the guy? I can't think of his name no more. I got it. I look at that. As I think about it, I compare him to Martin Prado. When Martin Prado was more in his prime. Same type of batting stance.
Yeah.
Very good. He was a very good third baseman. Could play almost anywhere in the infield.
Is Peraza you're comparing to Prado?
Peraza, yes. Peraza, 100%. That's Martin Prado. If you get that type of player in Martin Prado when he was in his prime, the Braves years, the year with the Yankees, then I forgot who he went after that, but he was still having pretty solid years, maybe the Marlins. But a really good player, and I compare him a little more like that. What do you think of both of those guys?
That's a really, really good comparison. I hadn't thought about that.
We'll
name
be lucky
in a while.
if he comes anywhere near to
right.
Because
Martin
Prado was really good. It was really good.
Really scrappy player. I didn't want. I've watched every Yankees game for probably 35 years, minus a handful here or there.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't allow me a lot of time to watch the other players in the league until they eventually make it to the Yankees at the end of their career.
Right.
But I liked what I saw from Prado towards the end of his career. I liked the contact type of hitter. I see a Xander Bogaerts type of player with Peraza. I see just the way he uses his hips, his hand movements, the way he moves in the field. There's the same type of player, high batting average, decent power, a lot of speed, good defense. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Bogaerts. If he was 80% of the player Bogaerts became, I would take it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. 100%. And the last one that we had on this list, and then we'll get into the pitchers and get ready to wrap this up, Oswaldo Cabrera. And this is, of course, over the full year. They got him hitting 20 bombs, 66 runs scored, 69 RBIs, 231 average, 293 on base percentage, 398 slugging. My one big problem with the numbers. The home runs I'm cool with. Even the runs and RBIs I'm cool with. The biggest problem I have with this is I don't like that they have him only having a 293 on-base percentage because he has a good eye. He does swing and miss a little much, but he also gets himself in good counts. So he has a solid eye. I think his on-base percentage will be higher than that.
I agree with you. It was higher than that as a rookie. 44 games, it was 312. You know, what's interesting about him is that he played in 44 games. He had a 1.5 WAR, but they've got him. If you look at his regular projection, they've got his pace falling off. So they think he overperformed his first season. I saw a lot of potential. I think he's a guy who's going to get better. I saw competitive at bats. To me, he's got 2 holes in his swing from the left side. He chases high fastballs, which if he can learn to lay off of those, and that's something you can learn with practice. And he chases sliders down and in as a lefty, which every lefty chases sliders down and in.
Correct.
From righty, he hits across his body a little bit. If he learns to take the ball to right field a little bit and not try and pull the ball because he doesn't have a pull swing from the right side, I think he's got a potential to be a really good Yankee Stadium player. I think he's going to have more power than they project. I think he's going to play about 85, 90 games this year, all over the place. I think he's going to be about a 260, 270 hitter, and I think he's going to show surprising power, and I think he's going to be fantastic on defense.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. Now, I do hear some Yankee fans kind of going a little above and beyond with him. I don't think he's like an all-star at the gate. I heard somebody argue with me saying he's Carlos Beltran. I'm like, whoa. We don't need that necessarily. I mean, it would be wonderful, my God, if he just came out and pops 30 homers next year and bats 315.
To be fair, I think if you look at his stance and the way he swings from both sides of the plate, it's a very similar style to Carlos Beltran. But he's not the same player as Carlos Beltran.
No, not overall talent-wise. So before we get into the starting pitchers, and we're going to kind of lump those guys together, we got a couple of super chats. Rogers Sports Talk says, let's go. Pitchers and catchers report this week. Huge fan of NY News TV. Let's go Yanks. And then we got Nicholas Truesdell. Notification finally worked. Let's go Pete. Pete the GOAT and the absolute best. Thank you, my friend. If I didn't get your tickets to opening day, I'd be there for the game. No problem, guys. No problem at all. But guys, remember, April 1st is right around the corner. We still got tickets available. So come join us in the Audi. I'm a little slow. I can't help it. Now, I like words, but that word just doesn't work with me. All right, so let's pull this up on the big screen so everybody could see what we're looking at here when it comes to the projections on the pitchers, and then we'll get ready to wrap this up. So they got Carlos Rodón being the GOAT for the Yankees this year. 4.5 WAR, 3.15 ERA, 13-9, 181 innings pitched. And, they got those K numbers kind of around his career norm, right around almost that 12 mark, which is phenomenal, by the way. And they got him leading the charge. Then you look at Gerrit Cole right there. They got them similar in many stats. Cole going more innings, but having a little slightly higher ERA at 3.20. What do you think about the 1-2 punch for the Yanks?
I think that's a pretty solid 1-2 punch. I have Rodón at about the same ERA. I said about 3.15. I had Gerrit Cole coming down from 3.5, so I think that lines up. And I'll tell you what, I'll take those inning numbers from Rodón and Cole as well. You mentioned it the other night. Having Rodón in the rotation takes a little bit of pressure off Gerrit Cole in terms of the amount of dominant innings he needs to throw. Severino, they got having a pretty solid year too. And Cortez, they got him at 10-10 with a 3.93. I think he's going to do better than that, but that's a pretty damn good top 4 if you ask me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you look at those 4, and we don't know who the number 5 guy is. Guys, again, I've been told that Frankie Montas is going to need shoulder surgery. That has not come out yet. We'll see if it does. Kind of reminds me of a thing the Yankees do just to wait until it's not as much eyes on it to put it out there. But we'll see if that happens or not. But you're right, man. Look, I saw somebody in the chat go, those are trash numbers for Rodón and Cole. I wouldn't go that far, man. Look, forget the ERAs. Forget everything else. If Gerrit Cole and Carlos Rodón give the Yankees 181 and 197 innings respectively, let me tell you something right now. I am over the top happy.
That's probably almost 500 strikeouts.
Oh, my God. No question about it. And that's one of the things I've been dreaming of. That's what people got mad at me, Derek, when I was talking about go get Robbie Ray. And I had to always explain why. And I always said it's quite simply, look, is his ERA going to go up as a Yankee? Yeah, I think his ERA will go up maybe a whole run more as a Yankee. He was one of the better pitchers in the second half last year. But the reason I wanted him was I'm just in love with the 1-2 punch lefty-righty, righty-lefty combo. And guys that just put guys away. Rodón is better than Ray. So it's even better. It worked out better for the Yankees. And I am absolutely blown away by the reality that we are having these guys in a rotation finally together. And to see what they can do. Severino in a contract year.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be a big season for Yankee pitching.
I worry about injuries because they don't have a ton of depth, but if they stay healthy, I mean, righty-lefty, that's, 4 dominant pitchers in a playoff series. You don't need 5 pitchers in a playoff series, so I almost don't even care who the number 5 starter is. Just get somebody to eat innings. Yep. I think Herman can do a serviceable job, even if he pitches to a 4.5 ERA, which I think, is possible. Hey, I'm fine. Just eat up those innings and let the top 4 guys take it in the playoffs. Look, the Yankees have never had a 1-2 punch like Cole and Rodón in my lifetime. And that goes back even during the dynasty days.
That's right.
Cone was a pretty good pitcher. Pettit was good in big games, but they weren't dominant. They didn't scare you. It always seemed like when they were going up against somebody, they were the underdogs. Going up against the Braves in '96, they were facing all these future Hall of Fame pitchers. Pettit's not a Hall of Famer. Cone, not a Hall of Famer. Kenny Rogers, certainly not a Hall of Famer. They just didn't have that group. Even David Wells, El Duque, these guys aren't Hall of Fame. They didn't have those type of guys. Rodón probably won't make the Hall of Fame, but he's pitching at a Hall of Fame level right now. Garrett Cole's got a real shot to make a Hall of Fame. This is best 1-2 punch of my lifetime, and I just hope they stay healthy.
No doubt about it. I mean, you can almost go back to 2009 and be like, we thought maybe Sabathia Burnett could be something like that with big K numbers. Yeah. But again, people got mad at me when I said it on NYYPD, but it's true. What we saw from Rodón last year, we never saw that from even a CC Sabathia. CC was very good, like his first 4 or 5 years, very good, 3 ERA, things like that. If Rodón could be the dominating guy that he was last year, along with Cole, and we're not even discussing yet how those two may really bounce off each other. And what that might light a fire under Cole's butt to be like, hey, man, this guy's here to be the ace. I want to be that guy. That's what I wasn't here to be a number 2. And Rodon's going to really push that as long as he's healthy. So it's going to shape up for some fun times.
Has Rodón ever pitched with another pitching head like Garrett Cole in terms of talent level and the understanding of things like the spin rate and the metrics? And I know he was in Chicago, but I don't think they had any. I mean, maybe Giolito, but he was in at the time.
Sale?
Sale was with Boston at that point, right?
Was he even earlier in his career? He might have been earlier in his career.
Maybe. They might have pitched together minor leagues or right before he went to Boston. But definitely since Rodón has become, a full-blown major league stud, he hasn't had a mind like Garrett Cole to work off of. In pitching, there's more than just making your pitch. There's knowing where to miss, against certain hitters, you don't want to miss in certain areas. So that changes your pitch selection. And that's not something that every pitcher thinks of or knows about or has someone to learn from. Garrett Cole has pitched against Boston a lot. He's pitched against Tampa Bay and Baltimore a lot the last couple of years. He can say, hey, look, don't miss with a slider to this guy, but you can beat him with fastballs up in the zone.
Yep.
He can learn that.
Yep.
And that's just having him make that transition, I think, will be helpful. I couldn't be more excited. I'm jealous that you guys are going to his first start there.
Yeah, I hope it's going to be it. Hopefully everything goes smooth and spring, and it is. Just the one last thing that I'll even leave this off with is when it comes to like you said, how he's going to have Cole, but another thing too, Cole's going to have him. Cole hasn't had somebody since Verlander that has really been like, hey, I'm as good as you, if not better, buddy. Let's get it going. So I think it's good for Cole to kind of sit back and go, hey, look, man, I am not the only guy here. You know what I mean? We got this duo now that is kind of leading the charge. So I couldn't be more happy about this Yankee rotation. And real quick, I think it's kind of pretty obvious, right? Going into spring training, the biggest stories, I got left field, shortstop, and I think that's really it. Those are the two big stories, left field and short, how that kind of finishes up?
I want to see, what happens at third base. I want to see how DJ looks.
True. That's right.
We'll be able to tell, I want to see him do more than hit ground balls to second base. I want to see him drive the ball a little bit, and just show me that he's fully healthy. And I'm interested in seeing how the bullpen bounces back. I want to see if Clay Holmes is able to throw strikes. I want to see how Jonathan Loaisiga looks. I want to see if Michael King can come back and be that bridge. I mean, losing him last year, I felt like that was the point in our season where we went from juggernaut to, somebody could take us down.
Definitely hurt, yeah. So, guys, to go ahead and wrap up the first episode of the newly redone Designated Spittaz. There it is. You guys already know the deal. We will never come whack on a Designated Spittaz track. Shout out to Montel Jordan for that one. Montel Jordan, wherever you at. Shout out to you on that one.
He's still alive.
With it being April 1st coming up, we're going to leave you guys with that video. Derek, any last words for everybody?
I'm just looking forward to a great season. I know there's a lot of negativity out there that the Yankees didn't do a whole lot to improve this winter, but I really think they did, and I think Bader makes them better over the course of a full season. Rodón makes them a lot better. And look, there's still the trade deadline, guys, so who you start with may not be who you finish with.
Damn right. I agree with that. Guys, until next time, we are out. Adios.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah. I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah. I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah. I really feel it's my time. Think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn petty. Gotta keep on chugging. Ran through everything in front of me. Might smoke bed heavy. Got a whole agenda. Can't aspire to get ahead, so bump that. It's no surrender. Got a dollar flipped up. I'm trying to get it an FT to get them when they're hand in crypto.